Hey, you're listening to Metal Gear Mondays, and it's completely brought to you by listeners like you supporting us. So you should go to patreon.com/Metal Gear Mondays and consider supporting. This week on Metal Gear Mondays, we go to Big Mama's house. Ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls, welcome to another episode of Metal Gear Mondays, the podcast that chronicles Metal Gear and all things Metal Gear, from top to bottom, inside and out, left to right, unless you're Japanese, in which case it's right to left and you can't understand anything we say on this podcast anyway. Produced by Forever an Astronaut, and as always, I am your host, Alessio Summerfield. And this week I am joined by Isaac Lim.
Konnichiwa.
And we our prodigal son has returned. And we got Samuel Wright.
I would like to first off formally apologize for the letter I sent a couple episodes ago.
Were you drinking and listening to podcasts again?
No, I meant every word of it, but I was told that I had to apologize to get back on the show. So
Who told you
that? I'm fucking sorry. Don't worry about it. Big Boss told me.
Do we have like a shadow producer that I don't know about? Who's involved?
It's the Patriots. It's the Patriots.
It's the patriarchy.
Yeah, the patriarchy. Yeah, that's our mission now. We have to smash it.
Exactly. Well, cool. So, Sam, since you weren't here, you might be curious as to what we talked about. So, Isaac.
Oh no!
Can you fill Sam in?
I'd like you to fill me in a little segment we like to call "Fumbling in the Dark" with Isaac Lim.
That's no Ben Garibaldi Smith or Patrick singing version, but we'll take it anyway.
Excuse me.
The Smiths.
Excuse
the
me.
British Smiths.
Yes, the Smith,
British
the
Smiths.
Brothers Smiths.
Yeah.
The Brothers
The
Smiths.
Brothers Smiths.
I'm gonna need you to be nicer to me, please.
All right. I'll put my kid gloves back on. Isaac, go ahead.
Thank you.
Punching bag. I have to fill you in on everything we did.
Well, no,
The
because I
whole
did.
game up
Because I
until this
did.
point.
No, because I did play it. So you don't have to really fill me in a whole lot on what
What
happened.
did we do last episode, Isaac?
So, if you remember, put on your thinking caps, boys and girls.
You sound like the beginning of Bubble Goose.
What?
Here we go.
We were a little bit of a sneaky boy.
Okay,
Right?
yeah, that's been happening for 58 episodes now.
I know. We were in a trench coat. We had
Collectively, all three of us were in a trench coat on each other's shoulders.
Oh
really-
man, I have that. I'm glad you brought that. Like you said that on each other's shoulders. I have a note about that later.
a really tall trench coat. We were, and we did a lot of chasing, trench coat chasing, part
like
2.
that. Trench coat chasers.
Yeah, and then we saw somebody who we don't know, but we do know. You got
Who
it.
was that?
Yeah, if you think about it, though, last episode, if you boil down just the gameplay, like, we just walked down some streets.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, that's all we did.
We talked to Meryl, then we walked down some streets, and then Eva.
And then we talked to our mama.
Yeah,
Mama.
Big Mama.
Oh. Well, cool.
So before we move on, can I make one quick note about Act 2?
Yeah.
Because I just want to talk about how I definitely used the javelin missile to shoot Octopus when she was hiding, and it made my job a lot easier.
That's amazing.
So, Very fun. But that's all I needed to say about that. And then my experience, just in short, sneaking to Big Mama's house.
The Martin Lawrence film
was so I was doing it like normal, but something I never thought to do in the times that I played this game. After a certain point, I just stopped using the trench coat and was just like following him on the ground with my octo camo, and it worked very well.
On the ground, like
Yeah,
crawling.
crawling.
Wait, you were crawling
Yeah.
on the ground like the snake that you are?
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
You did a good job. That's a good.
snakes
that's
freaked
a,
me
that's
out.
the best
Where are
pod
their
boy.
arms?
You're
Yeah,
the
best
best.
pod boy. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Sam. I
But that's
feel
all.
I feel
That's all.
like when you're on the show, it feels like I'm just being like hugged by a good friend for the entirety of the show. So I appreciate you being here. It gets a little sweaty and a little uncomfortable
Yeah.
at some points, but it feels good.
I don't need you to be that nice to me.
All right, I'll tone it back. I'll meet you in the middle.
Thanks.
Very nice. So, on this episode, we are going to be covering the second half of Act 3, which is just Third Son, because they ran out of names at this point, I guess. Yeah, so we're just going to essentially pick up, like, pretty much right where we left off, for better or for worse, and cover sort of the remainder. Again, not a whole lot of gameplay, but more gameplay than the first half. So that part's great. And I really enjoyed this. So let's just go ahead and dive in.
Here we go.
And Isaac just blue skidooed into a painting of
Yep.
the second part of Act 3.
Yeah. I love that this cutscene is so large that it has a save point. In the
Yeah,
middle
it's
of it.
ridiculous.
Well, there's like multiple of that already. Like,
Yeah. It's just like this game, man.
Yeah. So yeah, essentially right where we left off. If you haven't listened to it yet, go back to the last episode and just listen to right before the outro, and then jump in right here. Essentially, we kind of pick right back up with Big Mama, aka Eva, in the middle of the cathedral. She's still rambling about Zero being obsessed with like power, money, and information, which is almost like hip hop artists, except replace information with bitches, and it's pretty much the same thing. But yeah, power, money, info, and Eva essentially says that Big Boss and Zero both like misinterpreted the boss's will, which we had kind of talked about last episode as well. I will say this, sort of with the week in between and revisiting and playing just before the show. I know last episode I was like all aboard the two good friends have an argument and it turns into like 40 years of warfare. But now revisiting it, like that's kind of the thinnest thread, most like bullshit. Like, guys, just call each other. Just like talk to each other for like 5 minutes. Like, what's going on? Like, you're destroying the world. You're tearing me apart, Lisa. It's awful. So yeah, I don't. It's weird. I think on the one hand, it's super cool that it's so mini, sort of like micro, but like on the other hand, it's kind of ridiculous. So I don't know. Take it for what you will. The other thing to note for this cutscene is everybody that says Portable Ops isn't canon can go fuck right off, because when Eva is talking to us and we see all the painted portraits of the like past Metal Gear events, there's a huge painted portrait for Portable Ops. Like, I see Null, I see all those boys in that picture.
You see big stacked ass, super stacked Eva.
Yeah, well, yeah, and then let's talk about this for a second. Let's camp out on Eva with, like, breasts for 5 women for a second.
Yeah. It was super, like, I noticed it right away because it was super distracting.
Yeah, so for those of you at home real quick who may not have the capabilities to play, what happens is Eva's talking about the past, as she does, and there's like I had mentioned earlier, there's a bunch of painted portraits of like the past 3, 4, 5 whatever games, and one of the paintings it kind of zooms into, and it's like a little I don't know, like a Star Wars-esque movie poster painting of Metal Gear Solid 3, and everybody's kind of doing their thing, and like Big Boss is all front and center looking like he looks, and then 2 Big Bosses right, our left, there's like a little Eva in the corner, and like she's got like 6-pack abs, which is weird because she didn't in the game, and then B, she's got like, she makes like Pamela Anderson look flat. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, she's just got boobs with like 30 O's. Like,
30 O's.
yeah, there's like triple F's. Like it's a little much. Like I was like, what? Like what am I looking at? What is this?
Triple F for fuck.
Pretty much. Isaac, did you notice? Did you notice Eva's
No.
extra rack of stacks?
Somebody's stacks. Somebody's gonna have to link me that because I completely missed it apparently, and I would like to see.
Well, it's hard to
Yeah.
miss too
Rack
because
of
like
stacks.
then it gets like center frame and the camera pushes into it and then it fades into like old lady Eva, like
Oh.
Yeah.
over top. Which like yeah, man, like she's a good looking older lady. I get it, it's fine. But like, why do we have to paint the past through the lens of silicon? Like, what's going on here? So anyway.
The lens of silicon.
Sounds like a very Metal Gear thing. But yeah, so and then I kind of put in my notes for some fucking reason every time the cutscene just cuts to black and fades back in. So we have a little cutscene change. We're going back to the whole moving images style thing. Finally, we kind of get to bridge. I don't know why. Well, I guess it is Portable Ops. So we finally get to bridge some like what the fuck happened between Portable Ops and Metal Gear, like Metal Gear 1. And Eva kind of touches into it a little bit. Essentially, she says that Big Boss came back to the United States after some time away, which like we don't know how much time away. We don't know what he was doing. We may or may not find out what he was doing soon. But he just kind of comes back and resumes control of Foxhound, just like everything was cool.
Like, yeah,
Like
it was all
nothing
fine.
happened, which is weird.
It was all a dream.
Yeah, he used to read Word Up magazine.
There we go. I'm glad you did that. Thank you.
But yeah, I just don't understand how Zero, who's this like crazy global despot, isn't just like, what do you mean you're back? You know what I mean? Like it's just this weird like Big Boss came back and everything was cool. And so I don't know. I guess Zero obviously became suspect to this at some point. But essentially, what she says is that whenever Big Boss took back control of Foxhound, he essentially did what he did in Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2. So I think as far as the chronology right now in our head, based on what Eva's telling us and based on where we're at in the series as a whole, we can kind of infer that Big Boss came back, took over Foxhound, and shortly after he took over Foxhound again, that's when Solid Snake, but pre-Solid, does his first mission, which is to infiltrate Outer Heaven. Essentially, Eva then goes on to tell us that Zero is why Frank Yeager became the cyborg ninja, and that when Big Boss was killed, quote unquote, by Solid Snake at the end of Metal Gear 2, that his body, like him, became sort of a prisoner of Zero's. Even in death, essentially, that kind of kept him in between living and dead. And Zero, essentially, she says Zero did it to like continue on the propaganda that like Big Boss is like the dopest, like the Pope of Dope. But realistically, she follows it up and says, actually, Zero still saw him as a friend. And it's like, Isaac and Sam, I see both of you guys as friends, but I don't know if I'd put you guys in like a I have no mouth and I must scream-esque like hell on earth.
I was gonna say, would you skin me alive and then put me in a marinade bag? Because that's what he is. He's marinating in there. That's what it is.
Ew.
Yeah, so we're gonna see some of this here in a little bit, but yeah, I love you guys so much. I'd cut all your limbs off and skin you guys and just put you in a little Ziploc full of teriyaki.
Thanks, Alessia.
Little bodily fluids, little rosemary, a little thyme. Tastes really
Rosemary.
good. Little teriyaki.
Yeah, and you will be grilled based on where we go here.
Well, it's overcooked if I ever saw it in my life. But we'll get there.
Hey, that's how our clown in chief likes his steaks is Big Boss burnt. Anyway,
Big Boss burnt with ketchup.
Gross.
So anyway, old Zed, Zordon Zero, as you will, essentially lost his belief in everything after Big Boss left. I'm assuming after he left means after he left before he came back, right? Is that what you guys?
I would
because he didn't leave
think
again.
so. That's what I took from it too.
Okay, so essentially, Zero loses his literally his faith in people, organizations, countries, everything for whatever reason, and just gets really fucking paranoid. So around this time, I believe, and I don't yes, please write in mail if I get this year wrong. But essentially, Big Boss disappears like around 76, 75, I think. And so I'm assuming that it's around that time, like early to mid 70s, that Zero starts to kind of put into place this like AI initiative. And so he's like, I don't trust people, so we're just going to take people out of the equation, and robot artificial intelligence is going to essentially create the new Patriots and kind of monitor it forever. Eva kind of goes a little in the weeds here and tells us that the 4 AIs are GW, TJ, AL, and AR, I believe. And she even says his own Mount Rushmore. So you can kind of infer that these are like political figures. So GW obviously being George Washington, TJ being Thomas Jefferson, and then what are the other two?
AL would be Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, that's right. What is AR?
AR is fuck.
What is Roosevelt's first name? It's Theodore. What the fuck is
It's Theodore.
I'm trying to think of another. Andrew Ryan.
Andrew.
So we're showing our horrible U.S. political history information here, but
yeah, Teddy Roosevelt is on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
I don't know.
we'll figure it out. But they're all, so these 4 AIs are governed by like a central core, which is John Doe, to sort of unite them. And then Snake's like, wait a minute, GW? Do you mean like the same GW that we destroyed? And Eva's like, yeah. After GW died, TJ or was taken offline, TJ, AL, and AR kind of took over in its place. And Eva then kind of continues to be hyperbolic, and she's like, in the shadow of the system, Big Boss isn't allowed to live or die, and then kind of goes in depth about how around the time that Big Boss was a kind of like vegetableized and kind of put into cold storage, I would assume this is post Metal Gear 2, that Eva and Ocelot planned to free Big Boss, and they enlisted Naomi, and they used Frank Yeager to kill Dr. Clark, who is paramedic. And then Ocelot killed Sigint, or the DARPA chief, on purpose during the torture to try and kill off the other Patriots so they could get closer to Big Boss. And Eva then says that Ocelot got lost in the middle of the struggle, and obviously, like, now he's Liquid. But his sort of main motivation was that he like idolized Big Boss, and so Big Boss was kind of like a mentor, kind of like father figure for him.
Because it's like super weird to think, like looking back at it, that like everything he did in Metal Gear Solid 1 was like in the name of Big Boss.
Yeah, and like in the
like
name of,
it's just like,
yeah, revenge.
Everything. Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Well, we'll continue to get into this because, in a way, in the way that Metal Gear as a story is effectively just about Big Boss's life and death, it's also kind of about Ocelot. So we will see more of Ocelot kind of as the series continues, which is super cool because I think the fact that they took like a cowboy, hip shooting like Lone Ranger character from Metal Gear 1 and like fleshed it out this much is kind of crazy. But yeah, and then we get another cutscene shift. Essentially, this is just Eva making a bunch of fucking excuses for the weird liquid arm thing, which like I still don't buy it. Like I think it's kind of like Isaac, was this? It's hard to ask if this is believable because like 99% of what the fuck we just talked about is pretty unbelievable. But I will. So let me frame it this way then, because I think this is kind of the more sort of intelligent way to kind of approach it. You can suspend your disbelief for everything else. Did you have trouble suspending your disbelief for like a psychic arm?
In the Metal Gear universe, I kind of believed it. Like I went all in, man. I'm a true believer.
There is just a psychic in the Metal Gear universe. So
it's just Liquid didn't have any psychic powers. Like that's the I think if Liquid had any sort of psychic powers prior to the arm thing, it would be a little bit more in the realm of possibility for me, at least. Not that I'm saying that he should. There's some stuff
I want to say that spoilers for some later games.
Yeah, we'll get to it. But anyway, so yeah, and then we find out here that this is kind of the point in which Raiden kind of took a role. So Eva then kind of brings Snake up to speed to kind of current times, and she says that Raiden kind of came out of nowhere while Eva was essentially on her own. She was like the last one left from the original Patriots besides Zero, and she didn't really know what the fuck to do, and so Raiden kind of came out to her out of the blue and was like, I'm going to help you. And so Raiden helped her find Big Boss's body, BBBB, if you will, triple Bs. And essentially the information was encrypted in GW's data. And so Big Mama retrieved Big Boss with the help of Raiden. And so Eva takes Snake to meet Big Boss, quote unquote. She's like, do you want me to take you to him? And Snake's like, yes, please. And then she's like, I'm going to take 3 steps and open the back of a van. It was kind of awkward.
Yeah, it was,
but yeah.
This van, this black van is his holy ark.
I wasn't sure where she was going with it, to be honest. I was like, all right.
Yeah, it feels like almost like weird localization, I feel like. Where it's like, why would you be like, do you want me to take you to him? If he's literally like, you can touch it with your arm from where you're standing.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Like, but anyway, and then we see the aforementioned steam bag /
steam vegetable bag of Big Boss.
Green Giant. Just pop him in the microwave for 5 minutes.
No, it's like sous vide Big Boss. Just keep him at
it's
a...
real gross.
It's like a Big Boss Jiffy Pop.
Oh, no. So here's my question. I have a question for you. So, again, like we just described, listeners at home, she opens the back of a van, and there's like a real gross, like, if you guys can imagine like what Gus Fring from Breaking Bad looked like when he, like, spoiler alert for years ago, when his face got kind of blown off.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like that. And just like no arms, no legs, and just like a bloody bag. And like, here's the deal. I get that you wanted to find Big Boss. I get that Zero's the sick fuck that wants to keep Big Boss alive. Why doesn't Eva end this torment and like put her lover down? Like, why is he still alive? Like, why I don't understand. Like, what's the goal?
Like, maybe she just can't let go. Like, and like, even though he's pretty much dead, might as well be, like, she can't let go of him. So any form of alive is better than anything, is better than nothing.
Yeah, I just feel like it's super expensive and painful to like keep this guy alive.
Because like this guy, like Big Boss, this dude is like, his like teeth are showing, like he's half skeleton. He's like you said, Gus Fring. He's like half skeleton, half muscle meat.
Yeah,
dude.
He ain't got no lips.
He's like Super Meat Boy in like human form.
Yeah, he looks like a modern Doom zombie, or like something from. I don't even know what to describe. Like I know exactly what it looks like. He looks like a fucking necromorph from like Dead Space.
Oh, he does.
He looks like a torso morph from Dead Space. But yeah, I don't know. So that's the one thing that I can't quite put my finger on, is like, I understand how everything else works. I understand the dynamic with everything else. If you know Liquid can like fuck up the whole planet, and if you know all this horrible shit's gonna happen, why don't you put a bullet between Big Boss's brain, let him die, put him in a fucking incinerator, and just like call it a day?
Yeah. And also,
so anyway,
why?
Oh, go ahead, Isaac.
Why is his permanent home in the back of a van? It seems kind of inefficient.
Well, so that I took to he's in the back of a van just so like if they have to escape really quickly, like they're about to, they can just go, and I think that makes sense.
So is this church like a temporary holdout?
That's what I took to.
Yeah. My take on that was that they were like organizing here, but then they were going to be like rolling
soon.
together.
Oh, okay.
Anyway. Well, and before we get a whole bunch of like listeners that write in and they're like, I can't believe you've played every game in the series and you don't know answers to this. Like, we're kind of role playing for where we're at right now. So,
well,
like,
I'm not. This is real life.
Breaks, you guys. Like, no, like
well, Isaac, this is real Isaac.
Yeah,
right
Isaac's
now,
real life, but like me and Sam have to like continue the facade,
the mystique. We have to keep the mask.
It's very convincing,
exactly.
guys.
Thanks, man.
We can't part the kimono just yet.
Exactly. I have to speak from the place that I'm assuming that most of the people who are listening are at, which is like hopefully playing along with us. I don't know. Anyway. Woo! So we get a codec call from Otacon. This is actually, so I wrote it out as a codec call in my notes, but this actually happens in the middle of the cutscene. Otacon essentially says that Naomi bailed after Sunny and Naomi came back from Dr. Madnar. Snake still doesn't fucking acknowledge Dr. Madnar, and
That he's fucking alive. I forgot that they brought him up. What the fuck, man?
Yeah. Right? I'm becoming Dr. Madnar right now. I'm so fucking pissed. Like, and then Snake looks straight at creepy Trencher and does nothing about it. Like, what? So, real quick.
I fucking love this trench coat, these scarabs.
They're
So
hilarious.
Because, like-
thoroughly, like, creeped out. Like, for me, it's,
Yeah.
like, not funny. It's just very disturbing.
That he just looks at them and nothing doesn't say anything.
Oh, not even that. Just, like, the way they move under the coat and, like, the slanky fucking, like, disjointed body. Like I know what's
Well,
under
like-
the coat, but if I didn't know what was under the coat, I'd be, like, really kind of...
Well, it kind of, they reminded me of, like, it just screams kid sitting on another kid's shoulders to buy alcohol. And I kind of half expected them to slink up and say, hello, fellow adults, I'm here to see Big Boss.
It's,
Like,
it's Steve Buscemi from that meme. He's like, hey, fellow kids.
except in reverse. It's like these scarabs, like, hey, fellow friends and resistance members,
Yeah.
we're Big Boss.
But yeah, so real quick, just to let you guys know, so there's like an L1 prompt. Snake's essentially like on the phone with Otacon, and I guess when he's on the phone, his eyes don't work. But you like hold L1, and Snake just looks in the hallway as this like very obviously three things on top of each other's shoulders with a long trench coat and a real low hat. By the way, like there is no head. Like the hat's just like resting on the lapel.
Like, how did this fool anybody for as long as it did? Snake didn't say anything, and then the fucking resistance guy's like, hey, who are you?
The resistance
And it's
guy
like, you
waits
don't
for the
notice?
guy to be in the middle of the fucking room before he's like, whoa.
Yeah, this is literally three orbs sitting on top of each other, and it's super obvious that it's three orbs sitting on top of each other. What the fuck kind of outfit is Eva running here, man?
But yeah, so essentially Snake looks right at them in the L1 mode and just looks away, says nothing.
Yeah.
And then the resistance guy waits for this guy to be breathing down his neck before he's like, hey, wait a minute, who are you, trenchcoat man? And then the trench coat falls off. And then these three little scarab boys, what they are is they're like balls with three arms. Like actual human arms is what it looks like. I mean, I'm assuming they're prosthetic, but they like look like human arms. If you've seen any of the materials for like Metal Gear Rising, Revengeance, they are like an enemy within that game. And there's like a boss that uses them as a weapon in the trailers. So it's that thing. And Eva busts out her Luger. Starts with an L, I believe. Luger, I'll take it. German pistol.
That's a wrestler. Lex
Sure.
Luger.
And she holds it sideways like she did in MGS3 and just fucking blasts them, which is pretty dope. But the resistance guy is like, I think he says they're his scouts or like they're like he knows or some shit whenever they show up. So I'm assuming they're Liquid's little scouts. And then a whole bunch of PMCs start converging on our location, and then the escape situation begins, and we finally get to our first gameplay. So of the episode.
Every time I play a video game and a vehicle comes up, I secretly hope that I'm a passenger so I can just shoot. And Metal Gear Solid 4 has been pleasing me every time because I'm always the passenger, and I fucking hate GTA because they always make me drive and I don't like doing it.
Can you just switch to
Don't like
Franklin
doing
or
it.
something if you do that though?
I don't know. I never. Well, like not even like 5, but like all of them.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh god, especially the San Andreas moments where that happens.
God.
It's awful because
Jesus.
your passengers can't fucking hit anything.
Also, just really quickly before we move on to the gameplay section, this game is like the game, like in plain English, lays out everything.
Yeah.
And ties up every bow, and is just like, here you go. Here's the thing.
Also, here's some
What?
bows you didn't want, which we'll talk about.
Yeah,
at some point.
seriously. Who the fuck? Why the fuck? What happened to the original Eva? Where's this dude? Who is this dude?
Oh yeah, I forgot. So yeah, because Eva, as we know her, well, so we don't know Eva's real name.
No.
But Eva, as we know her, Big Mama, totally fucking killed the real Eva and took her spot.
Yeah,
as per
his spot.
And
Eva's a
just-
guy.
Oh, yeah,
Eva
yeah,
was a-
yeah, him.
yeah.
is a code breaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yup.
And it's just like, who, like, and she's like, she's like affectionately still goes by Eva or something. Like she just liked it so much that she like
Yeah.
kept the name of the dude
Glad
she
that
killed.
you killed
like,
a
what the
human
fuck?
being and then took his code name. I really wish that in the middle of all this, like when she's talking about what happened in MGS3, if it would just cut to like, this is the real Eva, and it's just like a rotting Russian dude in like a ditch somewhere. But yeah, so well, and on top of that too, just another throwback. So my notes say the gameplay section begins, but there is just like a little tiny cutscene, of course, still. And essentially we see the decoy vans pull out. Eva's essentially telling everybody like, all right, these vans are going to split up. We're going to make them confused as to where Big Boss is. We'll all meet at the river, and then we'll go wherever the fuck we're going to go. But then she pulls this like tarp off of her motorcycle, which we get to see from like 5 different vantage points, and which like resets the cover pull off every time. Like it's not like in real time. It's just like she goes to pull it off, cut to camera 2, she goes to pull it off, cut to camera 3, she goes, and it's like, god damn it, like stop. But it's her Triumph motorcycle from MGS3, which is really cool.
Hell yeah. And this whole scene is like a throwback to that ending
for sure. And then real quick too, and I'm gonna jump on a little bit of a soapbox real quick. But like gameplay's about to start, but like not before like a patented trademarked Kojima aside, where Kojima's just like, video games are training child soldiers to kill, and like we finally have an excuse to like point a finger at these PMCs, and like the PMCs are bad because they're orphaning all these children all over the world and indoctrinating them and like turning them into soldiers for the machine. And like I mean I love it, like because like even Eva's like, yeah, these children are raised to think that it's cool to fight like this, and like combat is life. And I don't know, to me I thought it was like super poignant and like really on point for where we're at within the game. And it's almost like a weird Borat situation in my opinion, where like Borat got everybody hyped to come to the movie theater to check out this movie, and then in turn the movie is making fun of the people who came out to watch the movie. And I feel like that's what MGS4 did, because like we've played 4 games and stuck with this series since like 1999, and so we are those kids who were raised playing video games that are violent. And then it turns around and points a finger and says, you motherfuckers are the problem. And like I don't know, like I mean there's different types of Metal Gear fans, don't get me wrong. Like I don't really give a shit about the gun tweaking. I'm not like a gun nut, but like my good friend James is super into guns and super into Metal Gear. So like I get it. There's like a lot of military people that are into Metal Gear. But like this is the only point in like the Metal Gear franchise I think that like directly addresses, if you're a fan of this game, you shouldn't necessarily be obsessed with the military stuff in it, because it's just a vehicle to tell a story, like not the primary shit.
Right.
So I thought it was cool. Don't get me wrong, it's a little bit of like a teaspoon of hypocrisy coming from Kojima, who like the game itself kind of lusts after gun modifications, and like even the characters in the game are like, oh fuck, is that an operator, blah blah blah. So I get it, but like it is a little hypocritical. But I think at the same time I think it's important to point out that like Kojima still doesn't think that like glorifying war is good, which is important. But anyway, I loved it. And I love Eva, because like, dude, the moment she was like, I only get off my bike when I fall in love or I fall dead, I was like, Eva! Like I got like teary-eyed. I was like, I love this woman. Can she be my mom? But it was awesome. I just like, I don't know, this is the one part of the game, like a lot of the fan service stuff didn't really like rustle my jimmies, but this fan service stuff I was like,
you're all for,
like,
let's
ride,
because you like the meta type stuff.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that stuff. But I also like, because this is like, I mean, Eva's essentially just the same character she was in MGS3, and like,
except just like older and
really
like
old,
still knows she's sexy. Like,
yeah,
it's
dude, she's like
fucking hilarious.
Cougar Town all over. Gosh. Like, I love this.
He's
one,
like
dude.
Cougar Town, Courtney Cox. Got it.
No, but I mean, truthfully, like, if there's one thing that I came into the game not really expecting or really thinking I wanted, it was like Eva to meet
For Solid
Snake.
Snake to meet Eva.
Yeah, it's just like I had that was not on my wish list. Like I wasn't like, oh shit, are we gonna meet? Is Solid Snake gonna meet Eva in this game? Like that would be cool.
Yeah.
So when it happened, I was
So-
like, this is the kind of fan service I wanted, not
Yeah.
the Johnny bullshit.
Yeah. So, and I'll pose the question to you too, Isaac. Alessio, do you remember the first time you played the game when she said that she was his mother? Were you surprised at all? And Isaac, I guess I'll ask you the same question.
I remember being surprised in the moment, but then like as I digested the information, I was like, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. To me, it did kind of feel like the surrogate mother could have been anybody. Like, why did it have to be Eva? But like, I liked that it was Eva, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was kind of the same way, but more to the effect that it sort of makes sense because, you know, Big Boss and Eva, and so I guess she would want to be the surrogate mother way back when. Just kind of cool that it makes a full circle in a way.
Yeah, we can confirm that Eva actually is in love with Big Boss in this game, which is good because like at the end of MGS3, I think it was still a little up in the air as to if she was like lying or not. At least for
Like she's done
least for
like
Snake.
literally everything for Big Boss at this point.
yeah. So, and she's gonna do some more here in a little bit. So, but yeah, just to give everybody a little bit of a heads up, I'll definitely round robin this thing and see what you guys think. But I just wanted to kind of set the stage for everybody. So as we mentioned, essentially Eva gets on her bike, and then like Snake looks like he's ready to just like run alongside the bike, and Eva's like hop on, like with kind of like a "Are you a dumbass?" like tone in her voice. Like, did I raise an idiot? Like, what happened here? But she's like, yeah, get on. So Snake gets on the back of the motorcycle, and effectively what this is like a direct, like, one-for-one homage to the MGS3, like, Shagohod kind of motorcycle section. Whereas in
I
South America,
fucking
there was, like,
love this section.
part of this, but now we're, like, all in.
So 3, I wouldn't say 3 is like my favorite act, but like just so much about it, like it's low key my favorite act, if that makes sense. Just because of like all this cool stuff that happens, and not maybe necessarily the info dumps, but like just the gameplay, just like all like the sneaking and then the motorcycle, and then
There's a lot of
like
variety.
yeah, it's really cool, and I like the boss battle and everything too. But
How did you get through this
like
section?
I forgot how cinematic it was. First of all, like they really went, like when you're not aiming, like they really went all out with the camera angles and the slow motion and like the sweeping, like like all that stuff, and it's really cool.
It looks fucking great, like with the motion blur and the rain. Like, again, I know that we keep telling people this, but like, and it's come up in the Slack before too, that it's like, oh, the PS3 is such a dinosaur, but like, I keep bouncing between playing like Nier and Persona 5 and like all these brand new games on the PS4, and then playing along for the show on the PS3, and like this fucking game holds up, you guys. Like it looks
for
like it
sure.
could be a PS4 game. Like it holds up.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Just like pushing everything the PS3 at the time could do, and it's just.
And
looks
it came
incredible.
out in the beginning of the PS3 cycle,
Yeah,
which is even crazier.
that's the crazy thing. Like you start to see like all of the big graphical insanity usually comes out towards the end of a console's life cycle, but this game like came out in 2008, and this was like maybe like a year or so after the PS3 came out, and it was just like, that's fucking nuts, man.
Yeah. If anything, I wish I could go back and play it then, specifically for like thinking about it analytically, because it's like I can't even think of a game that looked anything fucking close to this game when that year came about. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. I really like this section. Like I was using, I think I used the P90 for most of it, just because I like the P90 a lot. But
the gecko gun of choice.
but I was shooting, and I really just enjoyed. I really just enjoyed
Shooting baddies.
shooting guys and shooting little automated things, and listening to Eva chastise me for not being able to aim properly, and
It was hard.
wooing
for
every
me.
time I. Yeah, it was. It was moving so fast, and wooing every time I hit. I blew something up.
Yeah.
Like whenever I would blow up a unmanned, like the wings, she would go woo, and
Oh,
like
yeah.
I was blowing them up very rapidly, so it seemed like every 5 seconds she was going woo, like Ric Flair on a motorcycle.
It did crack me up too because anytime I missed shooting, she'd be like, "Try using the gun," and I'm just like, "Wow." Or she'd be like, "For Pete's sake!" And then like when I actually would hit shit, she'd be like, "That's my boy," and I was just like, "Yes, yes, Eva,
Thanks.
mom, yeah."
Eva,
But yeah,
just like whenever she was like, it's like maybe use the gun. It's like, you're a bitch. I like you.
I missed you. Yeah, it's good. Isaac, how did you fare with this? Did you just use the submachine gun that they gave you? Did you try and use something else?
Yeah, I saw the little infinity ammo, and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna stick with that. And
Well, I
I
think
think
that's
so
on
it gives
everything
you-
because the
yeah, it gives you
P90
all.
had an infinite.
wait, really?
It's the same with the MGS3 on the motorcycle part. Everything has unlimited.
Everything?
ammos.
Oh, so I just messed up then. But yeah, I just
So you could have
Sucks
been
to
throwing.
suck.
could have done
Isaac.
whatever I wanted. Yeah, I just used the submachine gun.
Did you dig this a lot, just like Sam?
This,
did?
I did kind of. It was like I didn't. If I didn't shoot anything, it'd be okay. I feel like. You know what I mean? It was.
So you just wanted to ride shotgun?
Oh, like it was just like super like you mean to say like if you didn't pull the trigger at all, you would probably be
Right.
fine, and the cutscene could have just like played
Yeah,
out.
it seemed very cinematic, like you said, Alessio, which is really cool. I like that part. But I felt like there wasn't a lot of gameplay in the fact that
Mm-hmm.
if you just let it ride, then you'd be okay.
Yeah, and that kind of happened with me too. Like I feel like I didn't really like my aim was not all that great, and I still kind of got through it without having to use like any healing items.
Yeah, I still shot a bunch of those bird people, but
Some kind of Birdman.
some kind of creature in the sky.
It was actually Batman. You killed
Dang
Batman,
it.
you son of a bitch.
No.
He was coming to help you.
Well, Eva told me to, so I trust my mom.
That's fair.
But-
That's a good point.
Yeah,
I,
I like this section a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if I was doing this right at all, but I 100% just like decided I was like, no, I don't want to kill anybody. So I just used the trank pistol for the whole fucking thing.
Oh Jesus,
Um,
that sounds like a nightmare to me.
Yeah, well, so here's the deal. I didn't use the trank pistol. So, and we'll talk about it real quick. It kind of like, so the section gets split in half. So essentially, you start out and it's a bunch of PMCs, kind of blocking the road and shit like that. And you're kind of riding alongside the van with Eva. And then about midway through, which like straight up, I was using the trank pistol and I was getting shot a fair amount because obviously I can't like hit everybody because every time you shoot, you have to like take a second to like pull it back or whatever the hell. So I got to the cutscene that kind of like splits the two driving sections in half with like half of my health and was like, oh fuck, like I don't want to use healing items. And then after the cutscene, I was fully healed and I was like, all right, cool, let's rock and roll. But essentially, what I thought is funny is if you do this non-lethally, I kind of thought to myself, I was like, Snake's kind of a self-righteous prick who's like, I'm not going to kill anybody. Everybody around me is going to have to do all the killing because like I can't get my
It was
hands
like-
dirty.
Well, it was like harkening back to like Act 2. Like I would put some guy to sleep, and then like one of the rebels would like run up and shoot him in the head, and it's like, oh, all right.
Yeah,
So it's kind of a similar.
that's on your conscience.
Yep.
But yeah, so
I just made him go nap nap.
he was just
Not my
he was
problem.
Just catching some Z's, dude. But yeah, so and then essentially when you get to this cutscene, you're like on this bridge, and Raging Raven, who is the again sort of the head of the PMC. This is the Beauty and the Beast core for this act. Raging Raven is a flying grenade launching kind of Fury stand-in, I would say.
Very Fury-esque.
and she like name drops the word fury quite a few times just to make sure we're like not stupid and
Yeah, just to
didn't
make
pick up
sure
on
it's
it.
like, hey, Fury, wink.
Yeah. So like essentially to me she kind of feels like Vulcan, Raven, and the Fury kind of combined, I guess, with a jetpack. Which I guess explains the name. But yeah, so she rolls up, says some stereotypical shit, and then shoots her grenade launcher off, and then it separates Snake and Eva from Big Boss's truck, and then she kind of chases you instead of Big Boss's truck. And she comes after you with these unmanned glider units. So at this point, the unmanned glider units are essentially kind of like, they remind me of like Green Goblin like boosters. But like they're like her back. Like the thing that's on her back is like there's unmanned versions that will like shoot missiles and stuff at you. And at this point I was like, fuck it, I don't need to go non-lethal because there's no people in these. So I went ahead and got to like, I think I also used the P90 and I just like mowed them down. But
Woo!
you got to be careful if you're going non-lethal. Yeah, if you're going non-lethal, they do mix in like humans into the mix about midway through the second part. So, and then I would swap my gun and started putting people to sleep. And putting the gunners to sleep on the turrets on the vehicles that would chase after you, for some reason the driver would like fuck up and like crash into a wall, and I'd be like, okay, like I didn't do anything to you, dude.
I noticed that too.
And then Sam, like you had mentioned earlier, this dope slow-mo bit. What did you guys think of
Yeah.
this?
Oh my god. Just like, it was great. I'm gonna let Isaac say what he thinks first because of that, like where you're trapped by the
Are we
two
talking about the
vans.
Evil Knievel stunt?
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, dude.
This is like the first. I think this might be like one of the first slow-mo like vehicle moments in Metal Gear. I mean, I feel like it happens a lot in 5, but like this is kind of like the first one that we see.
I feel like it happened in 3 when
Oh yeah,
when Eva was
like,
on her
jumps shit.
motorcycle and
You mean in this exact same scenario?
huh.
Maybe Eva is like Max Payne, and she's the one who has like bullet time, and only when you're with her is there slow-mo.
And she's on the motorcycle. She has to be on the motorcycle.
Yeah,
but
well, she only gets off if she's in love or dies,
Ah.
so she lives on that motorcycle.
That's true.
She's only ever been off of it once.
Wait
before.
a second.
She's actually Eva's next plot twist. Eva's actually a transformer.
Oh no! Next plot twist: Eva's actually Eva Knievel.
Oh, that's too good. Oh my goodness.
Oh, fuck this entire section of the podcast.
But yeah, what ends up happening is like you're driving up, you're blocked off, like Sam had mentioned. But what's cool is like it looks like you're about to wreck into them, and then like I guess Raging Raven just fucking blows them up for you. Because they all just like flip out, and Snake's almost like able to Spider-Man kiss one of the gun turret guys. Like it's like a real like Mary Jane Peter Parker in the rain situation.
Aw.
Except I just put him to sleep and was like, "Lol, you're a sleepy boy."
Well,
Also, right after
lol,
this,
ears.
right after this, the
All-time great quote.
the gecko, yeah, he fell asleep at that point. But the geckos and the gliders start shooting each other. Like, can somebody explain this to me? Like, they're on the same side. Like, what the fuck? Did you guys notice that too?
I wasn't paying. There was so much shit going on
I
that I was
thought-
not paying attention.
Yeah, I thought they were shooting at the vans.
Yeah, so I noticed
side
this. What
vans.
happened was there was a glider behind me and a gecko in front of me, and the gecko just like clearly looks up and starts shooting up, and I was like, I don't. What are you doing, dude? So I don't know, but anyway, yeah, and I thought Raging Raven's design was super Zone of the Enders looking. Like she looks like she could be an orbital frame, honestly.
Like even the way she moves, very much like a Jehuti and like all them.
Yeah, for sure. all them.
All them. You know, Jehuti, Anubis, all them.
All them. That's a real dingo egret move, Sam. Anyway, so yeah, we get
Dingo
into,
egret's my spirit animal.
he's two spirit animals in one. But yeah, so then we cut to another cutscene because fucking A is Act 3 Act 3 should have just been like unplayable. Like it should have just been the one cutscene for the whole thing.
God.
I think.
God, I was like almost 3 hours, and I could not watch a 3-hour cutscene. I would kill myself.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, essentially
Longer than most movies.
that's true. We find the van. Everything seems like it's going great. And, of course, when everything seems like it's going great, something bad happens. And so the gliders show up, and they blow shit up, as they do. And because it's a cutscene and not gameplay, something actually happens. And Snake gets thrown clear off his bike. And Eva does what Eva does. Eva got punctured in the exact same fucking spot in her lower abdomen. And I was very angry at this moment.
It was so reminiscent that I wasn't worried about her. My only thought was, I don't have the mental fortitude for another Eva escort mission right now.
Totally. Like, I don't want to be that guy, but 100% when it happened, I was like, if I have to fucking escort her, I'm going to lose my mind. Like, I was like, please don't make me do this. But I will say that, like, so it was a weird roller coaster, because it was like I had all this goodwill for Eva because of how they, like, pulled it off, and I was like, oh, this is great. And then she gets punctured in her body again, and like all the goodwill just went fucking to like -100. Like I was just like, I'm so mad right now. And then as soon as her response happened, I shot back through the roof and was like, I'm in love with this woman. Because like essentially Snake shows up to like help her out, and she just fucking pushes Snake out of the way and pulls herself off the spike. And she's like, let's keep going. And I was just like, yes. It was so good, man. I was like, Eva's the best.
She says,
like,
and I quote, "A mother's work is never done." And then she
classic line
rips her body out from that whatever that is.
Whew. So essentially, Eva's whole existence is like just getting poked by men and things she does not like.
Whoa!
Like that is her.
Jesus.
she gets jabbed a lot for Snake. If you guys know what I'm getting.
Christ, no,
Anyway,
no. Retcon. Retcon the last 20 seconds.
But yeah,
don't cue it here.
But yeah, it's super good. But like the van flew into the ground level of a tower, and all the resistance members are dead. And I think it's a little on the nose that Eva keeps calling them children, even though they're all like 40-year-old men now. It was like a little like, come on. But they go in. Eva takes a knee because she's like I'm fucking bleeding out. And then Snake gives her a gun, and he's like, "Hold up, girl. I'm gonna go upstairs and take care of this." And Eva, I'm not even kidding. Eva's like, "Hey, come back in one piece. Promise me." And Snake doesn't even fucking turn around. Like he just like keeps trucking.
Can't even like promise his mom. What the fuck, man?
I was again part of that roller coaster ride, dude. Like high goodwill, low goodwill. Then it shot through the roof, and then Snake was a complete cock. And I was like,
yeah.
I hope he dies up in this tower. Like I'm so.
Oh my god,
like,
mom.
It's just like, are you kidding me? Like, promise me that you're gonna come back in one piece. And Snake doesn't even go like. He just goes. Like he just never to be seen again. That son of a bitch. As all sons
except for
do.
in the next 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, then we get another cutscene change. Was it anybody else who was like, wait a minute, is that Solidus? Like as Snake's ascending the tower, you just hear this
like the screaming.
You just hear this, and it sounds just like the like Raptor jet, like Solidus, like.
Cue it here.
Oh my gosh.
And like I was waiting for like Yell Dead Cell to like kick in, just like that. Like I was just like, oh shit. I was just like, dude, I was like, is Solidus just flying around this tower screaming? Like what's
I
was
really
like, at this point,
I really want them to make like one of those like old children's books with like you press the button and it makes a noise, except it's just Metal Gear Solid noises,
awesome.
and Solidus is one of them.
I love it. Yeah, but like part of me was like, I don't know what to expect. Like Eva's here, Big Boss is in a fucking marinade bag. Like for all I know, like Donald Anderson's having like a tap dance contest against like Solidus up at the top of the tower, and I'm gonna have to take pictures of them for a magazine. Like who knows? So yeah.
We're J. Jonah Jameson.
But yeah, so you just go up there. Snake does his little like I'm a SWAT team member. Cool guy moves and like checks all his corners. He has this little nanomachine spasm moment where he just doesn't have his insulin, and then he grabs his EpiPen and jabs himself. Everything feels good. And then Raging Raven just fucking slam jams straight into the tower, and she's just like, "Give me your anger, Snake!"
like the fucking angriest Kool-Aid man. Just comes.
Yeah, just like bursts on in and is just like, "Show me your hate," and it's just like, good Christ, like, come on, cut me a break.
Oh man.
And then decides
and burn
to
Snake's
burn.
leggies.
Yeah. This might have, guys. I think I hyped up the Kojima, the Team Koji Pro, pretty highly because like this is the same team that makes like real time melting ice cubes on a fucking like boat in Metal Gear Solid 2. Snake gets burned from like the afterburner of Raging Raven's like jetpack, and his leg gets all toasty. As soon as the cutscene was over, I immediately inspected that leg, and I was like, is it toasty in game? Is it going to be toasty for the rest of the game? Like, that would be fucking great. And then I look at it, and I was like, nope, that's a regular Snake Boy leg. Like, not into that. So
Not into it.
nope. But yeah, and then we're in the boss fight.
So I like
what is
I
the
like
boss?
this boss fight.
Yeah.
I like it. It's Raging Raven, and of course the first thing I did was climb all the way to the top of the tower, and up there you're on this little balcony, and you could like duck inside of the tower if you need to, and Raven's flying around, and like a bunch of her little birdmans are flying around, and
Little bird mains.
little birdmangs. So what I did when I was playing is that I used the P90 to take out the birdmangs, and then
The batarangs.
Batarangs, yeah, the very large batarangs. And then I used a combination of the DSR-1 sniper rifle and the javelin missile.
That's how you do it, man.
When in
because,
doubt,
like, so,
Sam goes
javelin.
all
And
out.
so I'm sensing a theme. I'll probably do this again. Spoilers.
It's tradition.
But yeah, so I did like a combination of javelin and DS1, and went pretty well for me. I didn't lose a whole lot of health. I managed to, whenever I would feel threatened, I would duck inside of the top of the tower, and it's very difficult for them to get you when you're inside that top section of the tower and not on the balcony. So it's a really good place to hide, and then you blow them up with javelin missiles, and that's perfectly acceptable strategy.
And they fuck
For
shit
all-
up, dude. Like, it's a real
Yeah.
destructible, like, more so than maybe any other Metal Gear boss fight. I think this is, like, the biggest sort of destructible arena, because they can just, like, blow fucking walls out and smash windows, and, like, it's nuts. Like, the whole thing is just, like, crumbling around you while you fight, which is really cool. And the view, like, the draw distance is crazy. Like, you can see, like, a lot of the, like, cityscape, like, the city that we're in, you can see like pretty far out, and it looks pretty detailed.
Yep.
Isaac,
Very nice.
how'd you fare?
Quite well, I would say.
Very nice. Congratulations. Golf clap. I am golf.
Thank you. I'm bowing right now. Thank you.
Can you make it make a noise
Yes.
when you bow, like on, so we can tell that you're bowing on audio? Because this is
here
an
we go.
audio
Ready?
medium.
Doing,
Here
Yep.
she comes. Here she comes.
doing.
Very nice. Here she comes.
Okay.
So, I did not die.
Isaac, did you just get my?
Yeah,
Here
I
she
did.
comes.
I did the same thing Sam did, except
Aw. You guys.
brothers.
You guys did. Brother!
Ah!
Sam went like straight like Liquid Ocelot. I was trying to do like OG Liquid.
Except it took me a little bit to get to that point. I kind of stayed low, like at the bottom level, and was using. I tried to use the Mark II. That didn't work out too well.
The pistol?
Yeah,
Or
I
the
know.
Metal Gear?
The fuck are you trying to use a fucking pistol?
I like to imagine that Isaac's trying to fight this thing with the Metal Gear Mark II.
I switched over
Christ.
quite quickly. All right, Alessio, it wasn't like I was wasting too much effort.
Oh no, you're fine. Hey, I did the same.
Oh
thing.
yeah? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So let me tell you a story. I used the Mark II pistol, the Trank, and was like trying to do it, and I was like, "Fuck this." So as Sam mentioned with his little pattern that he is sensing for the remainder of the game, I pulled out the Mazda Nagant and was like, "Let's rock." So the reason why I did this, so real quick, so somebody wrote into the show. I cannot recall who. It may have been TJ Warwick, I believe. I will verify. And we will mention it on the side op next week. But a listener posted on Facebook essentially saying, hey, did you know that you actually you don't have to kill the first part of the B&B core boss fights non-lethally to get their face camo, but you do have to non-lethal the robot exoskeleton sort of first phase in order to get their little statue, like a little doll. And if you collect all the dolls, you get the solar gun from Boktai, the Game Boy game that Kojima directed, and as like a secret. And I think what must have happened, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was not a thing, I don't think, when the game shipped the statues. I think it may have been added with the trophies. Because like I was completely unfamiliar with this, but again, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm assuming.
I remember having the solar gun when I was younger and playing this, but if you ask me, and I remember playing it before the trophies were even an afterthought. So
yeah. Okay, so I don't know if the solar gun was in the game, and maybe this is just like who knows. I just was completely unfamiliar with the statues, so I was like, okay, I fucked up for Laughing Octopus. I missed, like, I did it right. I just never picked up the statue for some reason.
Gotcha.
So I didn't know they existed. So for this one, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to non-lethal the exoskeleton as well. So I took out the Mazda Nagant, and unlike last episode where I was trying to be like tricky and weave and like dodge getting hit, this time I was like, I'm on a deadline. I'm packing my apartment because I'm moving into a house soon. Like, I don't have a lot of time right now. So I was like, I'm going to pull out the Mazda Nagant, and I'm just going to fucking, like, stand right where she can see me and just shoot at her relentlessly. So needless to say, Snake took a lot of missiles to the face, and I got to see him, like, ragdoll so much. Because
well, that was like your personal punishment for him not acknowledging his mother's wishes.
Yeah, I was like, Snake, fuck you. You should have promised her. I'm going to make sure you don't get back in one piece. I'm going to eat all these missiles. But yeah, Snake just took a lot of missiles straight to the dome and would just like backflip and like land in all kinds of crazy positions. Believe it or not, though, I could take like 4 or 5 missiles to the head like without having to pop a ration at all. Like, it was really weird. I was like, Snake, how are you okay with getting hit this hard so many times? But I did that. It was super cool. I got the statue. It was great. Also up at the top, there's Essence of Vince, which is a Metal Gear Acid 2 song for the iPod. But yeah, I just balled out the Mazda Nagant, and then I pulled a Sam when she got out of her suit. I pulled out the fucking shotgun and put on the V-ring, like because it was Sam, it was you that was telling me that I could do that, right? That I could load it up with non-lethal buckshot. Yeah, and I just, dude, in 3 shots, like, she went down. It was crazy.
Oh, so good. It's so satisfying too.
Yeah, it sucks when she dodges because she does the thing that Laughing Octopus does, where she just like weaves, and I was just like, "Fuck!" But I was able.
They
to,
all
like,
do that, don't they?
Yeah.
So far.
I will say this, and we'll talk about it here in a second. But when you get to the second phase, I ran all the way up because I was like, real quick, I was like, man, this environment is so big. I'm assuming that it's going to be up top, but I just want to verify real quick. So I Googled it, and it was like, hey, the statue or the doll is going to drop at the top. So I was like, okay. So once she sheds her exosuit, I just ran up to the top to get this thing before I finished it. And what's crazy is when I grabbed it, I turned around, and she was like right behind me, like moving really quickly. Like, she's like running,
thank you.
God,
and I was
no,
like, oh god,
no, God, no,
it was creepy.
God.
Ugh. Anyway, But yeah, so essentially what I'm alluding to is kind of like with Laughing Octopus, there's this mid kind of like phase shift where if you damage the exoskeleton enough, take down the first health bar. Essentially, there are 2 boss fights in one, all of them, I guess. Inexplicably, all these bird feathers start flying around.
Fucking God.
She starts
I
talking
got some
about
things to
forgiveness.
say.
Yeah, go ahead.
God, so, and this is harkening to Octopus too, but like, number one, because I need to go back because I need to share some thoughts. Number one, nobody can vomit that much ink.
Yeah,
Nobody.
right.
There's no way. Or blood or anything. Number two, where did all these feathers come from?
Right?
Where?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's why I said inexplicable bird.
Inexplicable feathers. Just, like, what
She's
the
pulling
hell,
a Black
man?
Swan. She's like Natalie Portman from that movie. She's just, like,
Aw.
shedding them. Anyway. But yeah, so spoiler alert, it's another pretty lady underneath. And her
Press
suit-
L1 to engage creepy granddad mode.
Yeah, press L1 to stare at like a young girl's ass while you're an 80-year-old man, which is just real uncomfortable. Lots of TNA shots, man, just like boobs and butt all day long. B&B may as well stand for boobs and butts because like it's a little uncomfortable. And like I'm a heterosexual like straight man, like and I'm still very uncomfortable with like how like this is not something like Nick
Yeah.
Freda had said earlier. I will echo that. I will not play this game in front of my wife. Ben Smith said the same thing. Like just real uncomfortable moments to be playing with your significant
it's
other.
just like it's just like they really like these war torn, like mentally destroyed, like honestly sob stories.
yeah, like
these
Snake
people
just
who
gets his rock hard
Yeah,
off of like
these horrific
women that
things-
are like mentally disabled.
These horrific things have happened to these women, and it's not just that he's like staring at this happening, but like the camera, like the regular camera, is just intentionally focusing on like all of this TNA, and it's just like, come on.
Yeah, it's kind of and like it doesn't do that for any of the male characters. Like when the male characters are like, I was forced to eat my brother, it was awful. Like we're not seeing his cock the whole time. Like I don't know. Anyway, so gender politics aside, her suit has like a real weird texture to it when she first comes out of her exoskeleton. It has this,
looks like burnt wood.
Yeah, it looks like either burnt wood or almost like weird organic material.
I almost thought
like it just
like
kind of looked gross.
lava-ish.
Oh, that too. Yeah, it looked very
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
craggy, like fiery. And she's very obviously afraid of birds, which I'm sure is going to play into when Drebin calls. And I definitely, so kind of Konami fun fact or whatever, and maybe the same person, I don't know, because I know that they used a model for this as well, like a fashion model. But I believe the main character is named Henry from Silent Hill 4, The Room. But his neighbor, well, not his neighbor, because his neighbor is later, but like the sort of like super attractive like lady of the night that Henry meets in the subway early in the game, that character's face and like that model's face looks very similar to Raging Raven's face. So I wonder if it's the same model. Who knows? But yeah, and like we alluded to, the second part of the boss fight is the same sort of like avoid the hugs. The very beginning's real shitty. I was like eating lunch while playing, and like the cutscene just kind of ends, and when it ends, she's like right in front of Snake. And so I was like playing, I was eating lunch, and my hands were not on the controller when the cutscene ended, and then she was like literally like a foot away from Snake when the cutscene ended, and I was like, oh fuck, and just like had to throw my lunch down and just like pick up my controller. I was like, please don't hug me.
Don't hug me, I'm scared.
But yeah, that's pretty much, it's the same thing. Like she tries to grab you, and like as you move away from her, the colors get all muted, and like it's just like a real head trip kind of thing. But I didn't see too much of the fight just because I put her down super fast. But
Yeah. And then you take her out, and she does that very unconvincing.
She's a bird, man.
yes,
But this time they're white feathers that go around her.
oh,
What does this mean?
Even more inexplicable. She's going to heaven.
she's going to feather heaven. But yeah, yeah, and then she, I wrote in my notes, she trust exercises straight into the ground. Just like, you know,
Yeah.
those like, hey, I trust you, catch me, I'm falling. She just like strikes that pose, but then just fucking like her head smacks the concrete real hard. And I was like, oh no, I really caught her. And then she just like hits the fetal position, just like with the laughing octopus. And I was just like, my Drebin codec call senses are tingling at this point. Sam, just to further play to your point of Snake being like a sick fuck, this woman is clearly in need of some assistance and looks just like distraught. And Snake's like, is that a grenade launcher over there? He just like walks over and picks up this grenade launcher, and he's like, I'm gonna make the boom booms. And this woman
grabs a grenade launcher. And then Drebin calls you and accesses his "How the fuck do you know this?" files on Raven. So.
Yeah, he goes into the God files that he has. But yeah, and real quick, I'm gonna just recap it. Essentially, she's 20 years old. She's from a fake place, I'm assuming, called like a K. Is that right?
I think it's like Ace or Ache or something like that.
Yeah. It sounded Greek. I don't know if it is. I don't know if it's real. But she was captured by soldiers, kept in a cage like an animal with a bunch of other kids. They abused her day after day after day after day, is what Drebin says. And then the soldiers left the kids to be eaten alive by birds. And Raging Raven watched all of the other kids get eaten, except with her, the birds bit her bonds instead. So this is like a fucked up fairy tale.
Yeah, and then she murdered everybody.
Yeah, and then she like found the soldiers. No, and this was like the fucked up part. It was like she found the soldiers and then like murdered all of them with her bare hands, including like the civilians that they had captured.
Yeah, because she could no longer differentiate between who deserved to die and who didn't.
Yeah, this one's a little less extreme to the first one. I almost expected Drebin to be like, and then she ate all of them. But yeah, so.
Aceh or Aceh, or however you want to pronounce it, is actually a special region of Indonesia.
Oh, look at that. Thank you, Sam.
Located at the northern end of Sumatra.
Oh, very nice. That's great. Well, thank you, Sam. Appreciate the due diligence on that. That sounded way more awkward than it needed to, but I legitimately appreciate it. Thank you. And then we go back to Eva, and Eva's like, I guess this ungrateful son of a bitch is back. And she admits that all the vans are fake, and that BB's Big Boss's body, Big Boss's big body, is safe, and that they want to rendezvous downstream with the real van or boat or whatever. What if it's just like a van in the river? But yeah, so essentially we go to the Volta River, and Eva is very clearly in pain. They leave the tower. Eva refuses Snake's help like a boss because she's a fucking stunner. And then Snake looks real upset. Again, like not upset about a human being. Snake looks real upset about her motorcycle. And Eva just sadly...
I was really upset about the motorcycle, honestly.
No, for sure. Yeah.
TBH.
Well, and like I wasn't at first, and then Eva goes, I guess I don't need to feel the wind anymore. And I just like...
ripped my heart out. Why don't you just stomp on it? Thank you.
Yeah, I was just like, Eva, but moms need to have fun too. Like, I was just so sad. But yeah, and then the Scarab be spying. So, little creepy Scarab boy. And then we see them all go into a sewer. And then the shit gets real.
Whoa, my God, so fucking real.
Like, so real as to be unreal. But, yeah. So we come out of the sewers. We're being sneaky snakes with our mom. I just want this to be a game. Can it be like Mother Gear Solid? And it's just like the adventures...
Mother Gear.
The adventures of Eva and Snake. With co-op mode, so that you can play with your real mom if you want.
That would be so
cool. Real mom.
Happy Mother's Day,
mom.
Mom. Let's kill soldiers as mother and son.
I love my mom. But yeah, and so
Jesus.
Ocelot is smoking a cigar outside the exit path. We see a boat burning in the river, and Eva gets real upset. And then some geckos and vamps show up with Naomi, and Liquid Ocelot gets up. I thought he was going in for a hug, but definitely does not. And just like him and Snake just get real fucking angsty with each other. And he kind of unveils...
My favorite part about this... Sorry. My favorite part about this is how Liquid is smoking a cigar, walks up to Snake, blows the smoke in his face. First of all, asks him if he wants some, blows the smoke in his face, and then Snake is just like, like impotently coughing. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Well, and then Liquid flicks the cigar and it pops Snake in the solid eye. And I was just like, yes, that's great. Like, it's a real big fuck you. And then Snake tries to retaliate. Liquid slams him with his own gun and then stabs the shit out of Snake and then slams him again. And then cranks up the stun on the stun knife and just like electrocutes the fuck out of Snake. And it's, I don't know, I kind of got some like Vulcan vibes from this. Did you guys pick up on any of that?
Yeah, I literally wrote down, is he going to, my note says, Liquid is electrocuting Snake. Is he going to take him to his room?
Oh, no. Isaac, what are your notes say?
I'll tell you. Let me flip to that page real quick. Doop-de-doo-de-doo.
In your brain?
I said, ouch.
That's amazing.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And Liquid then essentially just says that GW is under his control and that they rebuilt GW after MGS2. And I guess that was the point of MGS2, we are discovering. And so we do this little cutscene hop, and essentially they say that the worm just like broke GW into pieces that Emma Emmerich coded. And so Liquid just rebuilt it, and by rebuilding it is able to hide it in John Doe's, like the core system without anybody thinking otherwise, and that Liquid is planning to literally nuke where the core is housed and then using GW to then take over the whole system. And we get a little cutscene hop, essentially. And yeah, let's camp out here for a second because I want to talk to you guys about this.
Okay.
I don't understand Liquid's motivation because Liquid's entire motivation is, I don't like the Patriots. Let's kill the Patriots so I can then become the Patriots.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't like the image the Patriots have. My head's canon. What's in my head? He doesn't like the image that the Patriots have created for the world, and he wants the Patriots to be in his image.
Gotcha.
He wants the world to be in his image, so if he's the Patriots, he can control the world and dictate it how he wants it dictated.
Which is, yeah, well, and I will say this too, he definitely talks a lot. So it's hard to decipher, and it's not like, I'm not trying to be dense, and I don't think I'm missing any cues. It's just, it's hard to decipher what he means when he says things like, I can't avoid my fate, so I'm just going to embrace it. So does that mean that, like, he wants to essentially be Big Boss and embrace what he was created to do, which is, like, just continue to perpetuate, like, Big Boss who would have wanted, like, an outer heaven and would have wanted, like, constant fighting? Like, is that what he means when he says, like, I'm going to embrace the fate that I have been given and just fucking do this? Or, like, is he... I just don't... Because, like, most bad guys are like, I'm gonna break free from my fate. But he instead is doing the opposite, which is like, I'm going to play into what I was created to do, is what it feels like. Is that right? Or am I not getting it right?
I can see it. I can definitely for sure see that.
Okay. Because I just want to make sure, because like I can't really peg his motivations. It feels loose. Because he says things like, we're freaks who never should have existed, but then says things like I'm going to play my part or whatever. So it's kind of hard to figure out, but that's kind of the gist. And I think, Sam, your headcanon works too. I think they're not mutually exclusive. Like, I think they can both work because they both make sense.
Yep. No, absolutely.
So yeah, but yeah, in a nutshell, Liquid just wants to kill Zero and Big Boss and just like wipe out all the Patriots so that he can become a Patriot. And Eva brings her fucking joke apple back from last episode. She just like rolls her apple across the floor. Like, I almost imagine her like she's totally fine. She's just like pretending like she's wounded, and she's just like, my apple. And she just like rolls her apple out, and she's like, right, guys, right? And like no one.
Well,
laughs.
like she yells at him because she's trying to reach Ocelot, and like it's supposed to be symbolic, but it's mostly just funny.
Yeah.
And then Liquid, son of a bitch, picks the apple up.
Is this possible?
Crushes it.
Yeah. Is that physically possible? Can you crush a fucking apple?
I think so. I think I've seen it. I've seen
in
it
real
before.
life.
But then again, like maybe not with one hand, but then again, we've also determined that in this universe, psychic arms are okay.
That's
so
true. Is it the liquid hand or is it the Ocelot hand that smashes that?
I couldn't tell. It probably the liquid hand, but it'd be even better if it was the Ocelot hand for some reason. That makes me feel real good.
It's true. Yeah, it would have been funny if he picked it up. He's like, I can't eat this. You rolled it on the ground. That's disgusting. But yeah,
just do a little washy wash. It's fine. There's a river.
It would have been real funny if he would have just like breathed on it, wiped it on his jacket, and would have been like teacher's pet, winked at her, taken a bite, and just walked off. And like that would have been
And
the whole
then
scene.
crushed it.
Yeah, and then crushed
And then
it.
crushed it. Yeah.
And throws it at her and says, I hate apples. You're a terrible mother. He's like, you didn't cut this into quarters for me. You're a horrible mom.
We should rewrite Metal Gear Solid 4 in our image. Like,
I agree.
Like Liquid.
We have to find Kojima. Oh
Yeah.
my God! It's an analogy, guys. He wants the
Fuck.
he wants the next generation of developers to find him and to take over the system and rebuild Metal Gear in their own image. Anyway, that was
Wow.
me making an impersonation of me. So how great is that?
Impersonation of who?
Of me. It's me
Oh,
impersonating me.
That impersonation was the type of person that Hideo Kojima's hate fucking in this game.
Yeah, that's true too. Which is just me again, so that's great. I put the me in meta this season, you guys.
Go fuck yourself.
Too meta.
Holy shit. Too meta for me.
But yeah, and then we get this real weird beat where Vamp just goes, boss, and then Liquid Ocelot goes, good. And then just says, the players have all assembled. And it's like, what fucking secret language are you guys speaking in? Like, did Vamp, like, under the frame of the camera just, like, do a hand gesture like a baseball player? Like, what the fuck? So yeah, I don't know. The time has come. Snake has to witness Liquid's moment of triumph, I guess. And we get the scene break where Liquid and the gang all hop on their boat while, again, the big boss boat's, like, fucking on fire. And the boat goes out into the harbor. The Rat Patrol's there, so we see old Meryl. Meryl gets on the intercom, and she's like, Liquid, stop! And I guess they've just assembled America?
Yeah,
Like-
pretty much.
Yep.
Who are
Yep.
these guys? Like...
They have all these American flags just chilling on the boats and shit like that.
Yeah,
Like, it's
so all these
weird.
all these boats show up with all these dudes that look kind of wimpy compared to the PMCs that we've been dealing with. And I was under the impression that like PMCs were just everything. But now that this
Yeah.
happens, I guess countries still have national armies.
Maybe.
I'm assuming this is just like the United States military and not like a PMC. But again, I thought that PMCs had like replaced national militaries in this future. So I don't know. But essentially Liquid puts his hands up like he's complying. Snake calls out to
Oh my
Meryl
God.
and gets no response. And then tension gets thick, y'all.
And then,
Yep.
for all the complaining about cutscenes, the most perfect video game cutscene ever. Fucking Liquid Ocelot finger guns, ultimate finger guns. Good shit. A plus, 10
That's
out of
great.
10. Would watch again.
Yeah, just the sound design. So, like, okay, for everybody who's playing along with the show or who doesn't own a PS3 or whatever, what ends up happening is Liquid Ocelot then takes his hands up and does some fucking, like, Xbox Connect shit. And, like, no one can pull the trigger on their guns anymore. And so, like, I guess he's showing off that, like, he can control the system. But
It's a psychic arm.
yeah, and instead of I don't know, instead of just standing on the boat and being like, system, turn off, or whatever, he just does, like, hand gestures. And so he, like, aims at the helicopters in the sky and fucking literally does, like, finger guns. And when he does it, the camera, like, cuts into a tight shot of his finger guns, and it goes, like, like, it makes, like, a reloading, like, a gun cocking sound. And then he just, like, does his little finger guns at the
Bang.
helicopters, yeah, and says bang, and the helicopters just fucking fall out of the sky. And then he just does it to the boats, and he does it
Well,
to
he does-
people.
He shuts off the lights of the boats. He points his finger guns at his head and says bang, and then all of the soldiers start having their freak out,
USA,
like
yeah.
Caesartown, USA freak out, like in the previous two acts. And then he fucking puts his hands up, two finger guns, and then starts like moving them back and forth and like moving in a circle and going while the frogs are shooting everybody. And it's just like I remember watching this for the first time and watching it this time. I don't know that I've ever seen a more incredible cutscene ever.
It's pretty great. I almost wish that like whenever it cut back to him, he was just doing different hand gestures, and for one of them, he does like the quick jerk off and like the jizz throw. Just, like,
I was hoping for the Adam catch you later fingers.
What a great time! What a fucking great time for him to have done that. Why didn't they do that? We get all the other
Right,
fan
exactly.
service. Where's that?
Exactly.
Sorry, I just had like Jerry Seinfeld does MGM host for a second. Where's the Ocelot hands?
Ocelot not doing the hands. What's up with that?
I mean, they're your hands, buddy. Anyway, and so he just says like Guns of the Patriots, which like everyone else is probably like, what? And then in my head I was like, Guns of the Patriots, GOP, the grand old party. Old conservative white men with mustaches. Half-Life 3 confirmed.
It's all connected. It's all connected.
Yeah, it's insane. But it's dope. It's great. He finger guns. You should check it out on the YouTube if you can. Naomi looks bummed the fuck out the whole time this is happening. Which I want like an audio track of her internal monologue where she's like, "Oh fuck, he's doing the finger guns." I told him not to do that. Just like
I shouldn't.
Whatever.
I shouldn't have. My sudden but inevitable betrayal shouldn't have happened. I have to sit here and witness this. God damn it.
Yuck. But then Akiba saves Meryl because he's not affected. No, we're not at the oh god part yet. We're about to be, and I'm gonna lose my mind. And so Johnny saves Meryl. All the other Rat Patrol boys get shot up, but they're not dead.
No.
Ocelot.
They definitely do a macho "We Were Brothers" speech to each other.
They do
like they were about to die.
Dom and
definitely Dom and Marcus.
Yeah, just like, hey bro. Dude, I almost expected like the Tales from the Borderlands, like bro, my bro, like thing to happen. Where it's just like, hey bro, yeah bro, bro. It was just weird. Well, and so essentially, Jonathan looks at what the fuck is his name? The other guy. Ed. Yeah, that's right. Jonathan looks at Ed and goes, "You know, we were real good partners." And then Ed goes, "No, we were real good friends." And it's just like, come on.
Like, you guys are the fucking worst characters.
Get a room. And then Ocelot. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
like the We Were Brothers and uncomfortably homoerotic death speech.
Yeah, you know that one, that tropey one.
That one. Come on.
But yeah, and then Ocelot just like kind of putts on by with his little boat, and he's just like, "Oh hey, you want this? Whatever," and just fucking throws Big Boss into the fire.
Cooks Big Boss in his marinade bag.
Cooks him
for
the
too
whole bag
long.
in the grill. You take him out of the bag.
You have to take it out. Take him out, put him on the grill, cook it, and then flip it once. Only once to get the best flavor. And that's a legitimate cooking tip. Your goal when you cook a steak is to put it on... No, shut up. This is true. These people need to know.
Steak Saturday.
Steak Saturdays. Put it on the grill, cook it on one side, and then flip it once. Not steak. Burgers? I don't know. Steak too. Meat. Cutlets of meat.
Hey, but with steak burgers, sometimes you gotta mash them real hard, like steak.
Yeah, you gotta push them.
Steaks.
You gotta push them down real hard.
Like little thin
Steak and Shake
patties.
is good.
I know about those things.
But yeah, Ocelot just
Steak and Shake is. I'm very sorry to do this, but Steak and Shake is both good and bad.
Oh, it's
at
wonderful.
The same time. It's a burger paradox.
Isaac
I
loves
do.
Steak and Shake.
Almost as much
we
as I
love
like
Waffle House,
skate and steak,
collectively.
but
Skate and steak
That's-
is the best. Fries dropping in.
That's
Anyway.
But yeah, so Ocelot's just like, we don't need this no more. You want? And Eva's like, me want. And then they just flip Big Boss into a fire.
Throws him into the fire, and then Eva.
I was so upset. Like they're he's like, yeah, you can take it back. I don't fucking need this anymore. And like just throws him into the fire. And I was like, you gonna do that? Are you serious?
Yeah.
But then
And
Eva,
like a good marinade doesn't mean anything if you're gonna cook it for too long.
yeah, well, and a good marinade doesn't mean anything if the cook then dives into the fire.
Yeah.
So like Eva just
Jesus Christ.
like, so what? Okay, I don't understand. So two things: either A, she's trying to like feel what Big Boss feels because she's so connected to him and she wants to die with him or whatever. But like Big Boss gets flipped into the fire. Then Eva just goes into the fire and like doesn't do anything. She just like stands in the fire and then goes like, "Ugh, this hurts."
Because like this is like the Titanic. Like there was definitely room on the door for both of them. Like there was definitely enough of the fucking marinade bag sticking out of the fire
pull it
for her
out.
to just drag him out without getting in there.
Well, she didn't even. But when she got in there, she didn't even pull him out. She just stood there. And
Yeah, she just
burned.
walks into the fire and screams, and then Snake has to like go get her, and then he burns the fuck out of his face.
Snake
like,
just walks into the fire too, and he's like, "I guess this is what we're doing now."
like, holy shit! This is like, I should feel like this is supposed to be a very big dramatic scene, and it's just like, what are these dumb fire decisions these people are making right now?
I just wanted
Stop,
to be like a
drop,
fire
and roll.
marshal, like right off frame, that's just shaking his head silently.
And it's just like, this is what you're not supposed to do around fire.
Also-
Let's watch an example of what you should do around fire when your dad has been thrown into the flames in a marinade bag.
Snake's. I just realized that Snake's just watching his parents catch on fire and scream. I don't know why that makes it funnier, but it's just like, and then my mom walked into the fire.
It's just like it freeze frames on his face, and it's like, this is me. I bet you're wondering how I got here.
That would be. Oh, goddamn. That'd be
I
legit. Well,
fucking can't.
the thing that I don't understand either. It's like, hold on. So Snake's dad's in a fire. Snake's mom goes into the fire to just be in the fire, and then Snake goes into the fire. But then Snake, instead of yelling like Liquid or Ocelot, he just yells
Otacon!
He gets real mad at Otacon for like no
Which
reason.
I like looking like into it. I get it because he wants Otacon to send Mark II onto
just
the
Mark.
boat. He just wants Mark to go on the
Just
boat.
our good
No, he wants to send. He's trying to send the fucking robot, the police knots robot, onto the boat to like follow, like to track Liquid, and so they can keep track of where he is. And it makes sense, and it's like good that he's thinking about that in the moment. But like, it's just it's just so funny.
Well, the
and
way
then
that
like
the line is delivered is just like, he's so hateful. He's just like,
Yeah.
Otacon.
like Otacon did this to him, and then like the dramatic like hero appearance like scene happens, like the blurry like from the fire comes the hero, and
Mark
it's just
II.
the fucking robot. It's this little fucking Mark II.
It's pretty great. Jesus Christ. But yeah, and then Liquid, and I will say this, because Liquid does, I'm not sure, Liquid or Ocelot or whoever can pop out at this moment. Maybe he's affected by what he sees. But I will say this, when he does see Eva, Ocelot does all of a sudden get like a face of shame for like a second. And then as the boat's kind of putting away after they just like fucking, they flick the cigarette into the like gas fire, but the cigarette is Big Boss.
Yeah.
Ocelot just puts on his like Bono shades. Like he totally looks like he should be in U2. Like as soon as he put them on, I just heard like the chorus for Vertigo come on. I might just need to take the YouTube strike and just like actually cut that together. I might slip that into the Slack. So if you're a Patreon
Yep.
backer and you're on the Slack, expect the hello, hoo-ha, in a place.
Keep
called
going, man. Yeah.
when he puts on his fucking sunshade.
Or like, I wear my sunglasses at night.
Yeah, it's real good. But yeah, and then he just pulls the fuck on out of there, and then the screen fades to black, and in my mind, I'm like, cool, this is the end of the act.
Nope.
But then it fades back. And there are Americans all over the water. They're dead everywhere, and I'm like, oh man, this is going to be intense. And then we have a dedicated scene to Johnny and Meryl. And I'm just going to read my
Kiss.
note word for word here.
Kiss my ass, this scene.
This whole... So My note, word for word, is I did not need this scene with Johnny and Meryl at all. Absolutely. Not never, not at all, not here, not needed. Please, God, why? Never again. Don't want, never wanted, never needed. Why have you done this to us, Kojima?
I agree with every word. 1, why is he so pretty? Number 2, why is he suddenly competent right now? Number 3, when he saves her life, why does she just kiss him? Because there has been no telegraphed romance between these two, ever. Not once. What the fuck is going on in this scene? I want my refund, please, thank you.
Number
kill
4,
me.
after she kisses him, she immediately turns around and spits up more water, which I was like, so you were drowning
Great.
when you were
Good.
kissing Johnny still?
Good, like, you thought that was the most important thing to do in that moment. Good fucking job, Meryl Silverberg.
Yeah. So I knew this was coming because essentially what happens is we cut to and we see Johnny with... Well, so hold on. I got to make a distinction. We see Akiba with Meryl. And
it's like a form change when he's wearing his mask. He's Akiba. When he removes the mask and reveals he's a fucking 10, he's Johnny.
Well, and so here's how I remembered that this was going to happen: is the moment it shows Akiba and Meryl on the sort of like riverfront, you can see, and I don't know if this is the first time, but you see like a tuft of his hair hanging out of the mask. And I was like, "Oh shit, he's about to lose his mask." I remember this part. I hate this, and I just like immediately
Who does he
just
look
like
like? He
cringed.
looks like somebody.
He looks like
He's like
Snake.
face.
He looks like young.
He does
Snake,
kind of look like young Snake, yeah.
which is like real fucked up, Meryl. Like that's gross. Don't do that. Don't go out with
Yeah.
somebody that looks like your ex.
She has a type.
But yeah, so essentially, Akiba takes off his mask, gives Meryl CPR, keeps saying shit like, "Don't do this to me, don't leave me," and like just all this weird shit that like he very clearly never was thinking this way before. He doesn't have to shit for quite a while, which is crazy. I don't know how that happened. And she comes back to life. Immediately upon coming back to life, looks at him and then kisses him, like Snake mentioned, like Sam mentioned. Sam, I called you Snake.
I'll take it.
There you go. Congratulations. Wow, in like 59 episodes, never not did that. Just did it right now. Look at that. And essentially she just like says like thank you, and they like hold each other. And my favorite is like they hold each other, the camera tilts up for a second, then it like shifts focus from them to Snake's just chilling with his mom. Like, it was the funniest thing. It was just like, oh, and here are these lovers on the riverfront, and Snake's with his mother.
His mom, who then like says like some deep shit about how like he's a beast just like the beasts, and the beast cannot be destroyed unless the light is turned off,
Yeah.
and then she just dies.
Yeah, she just like, she has like, it's almost like all of the Hallmark cards that she has seen in her life just come out of her mouth as she's dying right now. Because like, she just kind of like has verbal diarrhea. Like, I guess it's the opposite of like when you die you shit yourself. She's like verbally shitting herself as she's dying. But she's just like light, dark, shadow. If light, then shadow. Must dark, all dark. Shadow's bad. Shadow's forever.
You this,
Bye-bye.
you shadow, die. Blah.
Shadow the Hedgehog. Blah. It's just real weird.
A+ game, by the way.
And then Drebin just rolls up, and he's
Yeah,
like,
Drebin shows up, and then the Skin Monkey comes in and adds just some much needed levity to this very dramatic scene.
yeah. I was thinking to myself, what would Skin Monkey do here? And then he showed up.
Of course, Skin Monkey would drink soda and then dance, and he do what Skin Monkey do.
Yep. We need
And
Skin
then-
Monkey in our lives right now.
I'm gonna maintain cute monkey. The monkey's
get
cute.
outta
Skin
here.
Monkey's cute.
Well, and so how about this? How long was Drebin just chilling before he decided to like roll up? Because like he might have could have saved Eva's life. Just putting that out there. But yeah, so nitpicks aside, that's the end of Act 3. And yeah, we my game clock. So I wanted to ask you guys: is the post screen for the acts? It's cumulative, right?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, because it didn't
Oh,
make
no.
any sense for mine. Because like, my game clock was like 10 hours, which makes sense because I like left it paused for a scene and like went and did some shit. And then I had 0 continues. I had 7 alerts, which like 100% had to be cumulative because I was like, I've never alerted anybody in Act 3. Like, how the fuck is this 7? I had 11 kills, 20 recovery, 36 weapons procured, and 86 flashbacks. No special items. How about you guys?
Oh, are we doing this?
I don't remember.
Word. Right.
I
on.
have I've been bad and I keep on forgetting to take down this information. So
Oh, you're fine. No, I just
I
in
don't-
general, did you guys fucking go ham and kill
Yeah.
a bunch of people or?
I can tell you mine.
Um,
So if these are
Yeah.
if these are
What you got,
cumulative, then that makes a lot more sense because these numbers are quite high.
these are inflated.
I promise I'm not this bad. Continues 27 alerts 92 kills 89 recovery items 25 weapon items 38 flashbacks 87. So
Very
Hell
nice.
yeah.
pretty
I like it.
bad.
So what do you guys think overall of the act before we kind of tip our hats and move on to the next place?
It good mostly.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I actually really liked it. Better or worse, for better or for worse, I had a
Yes.
very good time with this act, and it was way more action-packed than I remember from the first time.
As far as the story went, this is where the game kind of started to lose me because it just this whole act was just designed for Eva to dump information point after point after point on Snake, and it's just there's so much shit, and can I play the game? And then they let me play the game, and the parts where I played, it was this is real good, I like this, and it's a lot of variety, and then cutscenes again, and it's just ugh. So on one hand, it's like I said, not my favorite act, but low key my favorite act. But it's
I feel like they could have
good.
paced stuff throughout.
Information-wise?
right? So I'll agree with you
Yeah.
100%, Sam. Yeah, I think info-wise, they could have made the act a little bit longer. They could have interspersed the for instance, and maybe it would have been a little less impactful, but maybe give us the big ticket shit in a cutscene, but then have Eva talk to Snake while they're infiltrating something in Europe together or something. And maybe instead of having the Resistance already have Big Boss, maybe have them be actively going to get Big Boss, and they're we know where he's at, we're gonna bust in and we're gonna save him, and so you bust in with Eva and she tells you shit while you're playing. That might have been a little bit more dynamic. Either that or maybe sprinkle this information throughout the game up until this point. That way Eva can just say, I'm your mom, here's what's up with your dad, and boom, as opposed to everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. I had a good time with it. I think, unfortunately, this information needs to be dumped at this point because the rest of the game is going to pretty much just fucking rock and roll.
Yeah,
assuming that you know everything.
You better strap the fuck in.
That's all I got to
because
say for Act 4, dude.
You better strap the fuck in because your goddamn reality is about to take a fucking beating.
Yeah. Isaac, I'm so ready for this because, I'm so stoked for you to play this because it's going to be Act 4
Isaac.
is Michael Bay is directing the Metal Gear.
I was gonna say Act 4. So for as much as the complaints about this game kind of roll through, Act 4, I think, if you're a Metal Gear fan, is probably the most perfect section of video game ever.
It's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
It's
I hope it.
great.
I hope
And
I'm
Are there-
remembering it.
Are there a lot of
I'm not
cutscenes?
Same.
I mean, there's still a bunch of cutscenes, but I feel like there's also a fair amount
Gameplay.
of gameplay.
Yeah.
Also, there's
It's
there are multiple bosses which we've not encountered yet. So
it's the right kind of fan service. I think the entire act is.
yeah. I almost wonder how it would have been if they would have opened with what Act 4 did. As,
It would have. It wouldn't have made sense.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
going back to Act 3, as somebody who this is their first time playing it, I really appreciated them dumping the information. Maybe when they did, how they did it, because it was I feel like if they had spread it out, maybe that impact wouldn't have hit you as hard. Granted, it is a lot of information, but I think that it, excuse me, because it tied together a lot of the presents and bows and whatnot. I had a lot of aha moments, and I was like, man, that makes a lot of sense. That's really cool. That's awesome, and blah blah blah, stuff like that. Whereas if I think if they spread it out,
I'm glad you feel that way.
because I feel like I was really dumb throughout the whole series. I was like, I don't understand this. What?
Well, realistically too, like I would assume that I had the same reaction the first time that I played it.
Same. I'm certain I did.
Yeah, because I probably loved every minute of it, and I still loved it a lot this time. But I think this time is when I noticed, and it may have been that I was like taking notes.
Yeah.
But I was just like, this is
Much. Yeah.
a lot.
And I'm
So yeah,
I'm sure I'll feel that way with the next time I play this. I'll be like, all right, skip. But
sure.
for the first time, it was A+. I would have to say.
Yeah, I'm sad to see Eva go.
Right after we met her.
She showed up. Yeah, I like her a lot. She's a good character. But also one big thing that I just want to throw out there right here, right now, is that Eva says something that's actually very important, which is that in Eva's opinion, and you need to realize as well as like a player, and we'll talk about it to some extent moving forward, but like Eva spent quite a lot of time with the boss since she was like undercover and stuff like that, and like she even mentioned in MGS3 that like the boss talked to her in private and stuff. But Eva makes this distinction that neither Zero nor Big Boss had it right. And I think that's
like
like the boss.
What the boss wanted, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's an important distinction to make because it's important to show that there are no good guys in this. So like Big Boss isn't good. He's like misinterpreting it and being essentially a warmonger, which is like even the series is saying that that's a bad thing.
Yep.
Zero is doing the exact same thing, but through like cultural cachet and like manipulation. And then Snake, I would say Solid Snake's not even necessarily a good guy either. Solid Snake's just like, I didn't ask for this. I want out of this nightmare, and I'm just going to fucking clean this up. So like nobody's really like a good guy in this game, really.
Except
like,
for Johnny.
Secret
Everybody's favorite playboy. Johnny Sasaki.
Doodle boy Johnny.
Little meet the Deedles doo-doo boy Johnny Sasaki.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it's just super important to kind of outline that like Snake's really just a survivor, just like he's been saying all along. Like he's not a hero. He's just trying to fucking clean up this mess that all the grown-ups made, essentially. So, but yeah, that's it. That's Act 3. We're getting closer to finishing the game. I had a really good time.
Son. Me too.
So real quick, just some sort of final recap stuff. I just wanted to point out, so we are inching ever closer, Forever and Astronaut sort of as a unit. And I feel like we don't do this enough, so I just wanted to really quickly just kind of establish again. So I know that we use the term like production company and the term studio quite a lot when talking about Forever and Astronaut. Forever and Astronaut is essentially just like a label for like a two-man band. So like Forever and Astronaut is just me and James Reichmuth with our friends kind of collaborating. So we're essentially a two-man creative team, and we are creating things that we want to see in the world. So that being said, we don't have a shit ton of money. Everything that we do out of the passion of our hearts and out of the time that we scrape from the bottom of the barrel. And we've been doing some really cool shit, but we always could use a little boost. So that being said, like we're inching ever so closer to having like Metal Gear Mondays at least paid for as far as like monthly kind of like hosting requirements for keeping the show running. So any little bit helps. If you guys dig this show, if you want to see our other stuff, go to foreveranastronaut.com. We did a full-blown first season of a TV show covering game developers called Dev Diary, and the first season's, I think it's really good. We do a lot of other stuff. We're working on pitching a couple shows and working on like potentially some features coming up soon. But really, we're just like a two-man band. And to some extent, like me and Sam have been a two-man band before. Me and Isaac have been a two-man band before. So like, quite literally, like actually a two-man band. So we're just regular dudes. So we love doing this, and we love that you guys are listening and checking it out. But if you do have a little bit of money to spare, as little as $1 a month gets you episodes early, access to the fan Slack where we're all hanging out, cutting up, talking about stupid shit, listening to Kendrick Lamar, and just doing
Hell
it
yeah!
right.
Damn, best rap
Damn.
album of the year. So fucking good.
Yeah.
So good.
I will say
Holy
my weekend
shit,
my
Kendrick.
weekend has been Damn and Run the Jewels 3, and it's been great.
Mm.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, so
Bring it back.
check it out. That shit's great. And help us out if you can. I understand that not everybody can. But $5 a month outside of the $1, you can get access to all of our shows and all of our films early, even while it's like just being sent to film festivals. So yeah, every little bit helps. Besides that, you can check out the show, facebook.com/Metal Gear Mondays, patreon.com/ForeverAnAstronaut, on Twitter, #Metal Gear Mondays, soundcloud.com/Metal Gear Mondays, and I'm on Twitter @AC Summerfield. Sam, Isaac, where can they find you guys in that order? Sam.
Well, really quick before I talk about myself, y'all, we're like the Metal Gear Mondays Facebook page is still shy of enough likes for Zach to burn a literal copy of Snake's Revenge. So get on that, like that shit. Wasn't it like 200?
Yeah, so we're at 178, so we need like
Yeah.
22. Come on, y'all.
Yeah, burn like you know y'all want this. Let's get it.
Yep. Also, iTunes reviews and stuff. I mean, we've gotten some really good shit, but keep them coming because they help out tremendously.
Then to talk about myself a little bit, you can find me on Twitter @Sanjul. That's SANJUUL. You can also find me. I do a podcast with my friend Jeff called From Another Mother, where it's just two
Bam.
friends who have known each other for going on 12, 13 years at this point.
13
Just
going
kind of
on 30.
bullshitting. Yeah, pretty much. Bullshitting back and forth about stuff. From Another Mother. It's at FromAnotherMother.podbean.com. It's also on iTunes. We would appreciate reviews there. Thank you.
Absolutely.
and
And,
I'm-
I
and hold on, wait.
can't recommend it enough.
I'm gonna do a hold on. Boop, boop, doop, doop. That was me bowing.
Very nice. Isaac,
Thank you.
do you have anything
That's
anything
a-
worth bowing over?
Nope.
Slick.
I don't really have much of an update. I've got a Twitter account. If you guys didn't know, it's called doesn't have a twit. There's no apostrophe. I think some of the people that are trying to find this are putting an apostrophe in that. There's no apostrophe in that.
Aw.
It just doesn't have a twit. And then tweet at me, and I won't tweet back.
So yeah, pretty much. So Isaac's last tweet was, I am eternally grateful for all the men and women in my life, especially Rick W. Funderburk. #5450, #5450, #MGM, and then there's nothing after that hashtag. And
Hashtag.
yeah, it got two likes.
Aw.
Of course, one of them was Rick W. Funderburk, and the other one was David Leiden. And David Leiden responded to
David
Isaac's
Leiden's
tweet.
a fucking champ, by the way.
David Leiden is
Yeah.
great. He responded to that tweet with a picture of AI Colonel from MGS2, the skeleton part, and it says, "Trivial information is accumulating every second. Still, I like your tweets."
Oh,
Yeah, David's MGS meme game's on point because like every time
On
he tweets at
point.
me, he's got like pictures from MGS2 and MGS3, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
So, hat tip to you, sir. But yeah, let's get Isaac to tweet. And so I will say this. Unfortunately, due to timing concerns, again, kind of like a repeat of the last time, we are recording the side op pretty quickly. So by the time that you're hearing this, Act 3 responses will have needed to have been submitted already. With that being said, for Act 4, if you guys can get your my brain just broke. If you guys could get your messages, your questions, comments, something that I fucked up that you want to put me on blast for, you have my permission. It will come out of my mouth. I'll read your complaint on the show. But you've got a week from this coming Monday. So what is that? 17th. So a week from the 17th to the 24th. So you have April 24th to get Act 4, Part 1, and anything before that. So you've got until the 24th of April to get in halfway point of Act 4 all the way back to the beginning of MGS4, or just general shit that you want that's Metal Gear related. Definitely, like, if you send me a book, just expect me to, like, edit it down a little bit. If you send me, like, 2 sentences, expect me to, like, kind of riff off of that for a little bit, but that's kind of the gist. So yes, thank you guys so very much. If you talk about us on social media, on Facebook, definitely at Metal Gear Mondays, and find the tag to link. But if you're on Twitter, just hashtag Metal Gear Mondays. I monitor that hashtag pretty closely. So even if you don't want to tweet at me, or if you, for whatever reason, don't remember anything that I just said 5 minutes ago, just hashtag Metal Gear Mondays on whatever you're tweeting about, and I will see it. So sick, you guys. I'm excited. Everybody's excited. Metal Gear Solid 4 is going to be great. Isaac, can you take us where we need to be?
Take you to the sweet spot.
Wow, no, there's a Star Wars trailer playing on my phone. I was looking at Instagram and my thumb slipped on one of the videos. Well, I mean, we're done with the important stuff. So I thought it would be okay. And my thumb slipped on a video and it was the Star Wars Battlefront 2 trailer. And okay. That was my bad.
Is that game just going to be digital? Or is it going to ship in a
what's the word for it?
They don't
physical
a
copy?
jewel case,
No, they put it in
Like a physical, well, like one of those. What do they put the physical copies in though? Like a pamphlet?
DVD, a box.
there we go.
Oh right, it's just a box.
I was going to call it a GameStop condom.
Just a box.